Live from the BOD remote studios, it is Playin and Slayin, episode 62. We're getting old. I think we can almost collect Social Security.
Getting close, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not 100. We're not cubic shenanigans or anything, but we're old enough to know better.
Well, I mean, we also don't count correctly, but
No, this is probably actually like 67 or something.
we have to. Josh gets mad when we don't name the episodes the right number, though. So
The numbers, you gotta go in order. That's how the numbers
he
work.
protests every time we go a fraction or an alternate or a bonus episode or anything else like that.
Well, let's get into what we're going to talk about in this episode. We're gonna have an abbreviated banter. We'll talk about what we've been playing. We've had a few game nights. There's some role playing going on. We'll probably bypass the hobby challenge for our post Gen Con update when we can get Bryce back on, since it's just the three of us this evening. And also probably give us a little bit extra time to work on the monthly hobby challenge, which has now become a 2-month hobby challenge, which will be a 3-month hobby challenge, so that we can get there. But then we'll talk a little bit about purchase, or what we've been watching, reading, listening to. But our main course, it felt like a full 7-course meal here, and this is the main part. We have Teras from Geek Nation Tours joining us to talk about all things related to geek travel. So we'll talk to him about his gaming origin story, number of things that he's got in the pipeline, or the company kind of history as well. And then touch on, Troy and the Basement of Death presents for the Welcome Dinner of Adepticon 2023 Space Hulk event as well. So really great discussion with Teras. Hopefully you all enjoy that. But for now, we're gonna dive into the rest of the show. And when you're playing and slaying, it's important to stay hydrated. So what are we drinking this evening? I'm gonna start with Josh.
Yeah, in anticipation for possibly stopping at Three Floyds Brewery on the way to Gen Con, I'm drinking a Zombie Dust in a BOD glass.
Ooh. Oh.
Ooh.
Troy, how about you?
I have High Noon, which is, I think, lemonade or lemon and vodka. It's not lemonade. It's just vodka and soda, lemon with a little bit of juice. Not as sweet as like a vodka lemonade, but nice little whatever you want to call this, kind of a seltzer, vodka and soda.
Nice. I'm on the seltzer train. My dear friend Danny shared with me this brand of seltzers, Topo Chico. Yeah, it's hard to see with the glare from the camera light, but this is a margarita hard seltzer. It's their signature margarita flavor. Tastes a lot like a margarita on the rocks, but seltzer form. These are very, very good. All their flavors are delicious. I usually buy the variety pack. I think I've gone through 3 12-packs in the last couple of weeks. Just having, a couple each night after work. And that's only 100 calories per can. So it's almost like I'm also, maintaining my figure as I imbibe. Roughly the equivalency of a beer, but they're delicious. They're really good seltzers, and like Josh said, foreshadowing for Gen Con with his Three Floyds and perhaps our stop there, I'm going to probably bring a cooler full of Topo Chico to rehydrate periodically throughout the convention. All right.
Sounds good.
So hopefully everyone, as you're listening, you crack open a beer, a seltzer, mix yourself a drink, or have some water. It's hot out there. Stay hydrated. Got to keep your water intake up. But let's get into a bit of what we've been playing. I'll kick it off with we played some D&D. We've been doing the Emperor's Reach campaign. Name pending. That'll, if I say it enough, that'll probably stick. But and had a really great epic session last week. I'll let you guys share. I don't want to steal the thunder for the D&D update.
Josh, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was so we were in the middle of a town, right? And we knew we were going to get ambushed. We weren't quite sure by what or how many. But we knew, yeah, we were going to get ambushed, and there was Ty had some really great like preparations for us to do. Like we could set up barricades, or help arm the citizenry, and build. I don't know what were those weapons.
The grenades.
So,
well, the grenades, yeah.
The big,
Well, the
so
big,
the
big
blacksmith
turret
would
thing.
build the arbalist. Yep, kind of
Yes,
a giant
that's it.
crossbow. The head of the kind of mining operation could construct some explosives. So you had choices of what you could do to help bolster the town's defenses from this kind of bandit army, the Calamity. So it had this kind of Seven Samurai or the Magnificent Seven vibe of you guys coming in, helping the townsfolk protect their livelihood and their homes from this kind of army of bandits and their wolves.
And I thought it was really fun that you kind of let us, pick what we wanted to do to kind of get prepared. And I thought we kind of did a good job of doing a little bit of everything. And it ended up like we needed a little bit of everything. Like we needed those barricades, we needed those grenades, we needed the good smattering that we had. I think was the perfect mix. So yeah, that it was really fun to see that our preparations really did pay off. So yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it was super, super fun, and I loved how we did. In it was 2 sessions, right? We had one session that was entirely, the whole session was us. I mean, learning more about the town. We met a few interesting NPCs. We kind of got information, but then we also went through kind of that montage, right? You're in your mind, you're going through the montage of us building up all the barricades and getting all the things ready. And then that was it. And then we had to anticipate for 2 weeks until we got. So I think I had a lot of fun. I think it was just really good, I don't know, cinematic D&D, right? And then the battle, which was an entire session, which we kind of, I think we all expected, right? This entire session is just going to be the fight, right? And and it was kind of cool. Like the fight had a couple different fronts to it, and because we were kind of split up, but we weren't. And so you were like, it was like cutscenes as you'd go back between the different, as Paul's character and mine were on one corner trying to hold off these guys coming out of the woods, and you guys were in some really messed up stuff with one of the, one of the sub bosses or mini bosses, right? Kind of coming in and messing things up, and then I think Ty did a really good job where you kind of thought everything was done, and then one more big guy kind of comes out of the woods, right? that we had to kind of to fight through it. So it was just really fun. I mean, I think you did a great job, Ty, of kind of creating the anticipation, and then like Josh said, making everything fit, right? Like all that preparation had a place, and it went into the story, and so it was classic.
There were a couple moments too where I felt like it was almost like an old school video game where there were like waves of guys coming in, and you beat like that mini boss, and then another wave kind of came, like, it kind of had that feel a little bit, and I was like, that's awesome. So and Ty graciously allowed me, being the healer, there wasn't a any kind of bonus for this, but he allowed me to set up like kind of a medic tent in the middle of town. He's like, ugh, I mean, you're not going to get anything for it, but sure, go ahead. So yeah, it was kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear, and we'll see next week. I believe the plan is to head back to Fort Jasper, kind of the border fort of the Empire that you've kind of loosely been affiliated with over the last several years with the mercenary company. So I'm sure there will be all sorts of people walking around with exclamation points over their head and perhaps letters from home, and kind of, this is the fringe of the reach where people come back, and it's kind of the edge of civilization. So I think that journey and what comes next will be fun, and just keeping the sandbox vibe of the campaign going. You've got a few points of interest to check out. I'm sure you'll get several more. I did send a text to my brother today with a picture I saw on Twitter, and I said I just thought of how to make a location like this a POI in D&D. Don't tell anyone if this gets brought up, but it was one of those ridiculous, like, castles in the middle of a lake type thing. That's not what it was, but like, I'm like, I need to use this. So should be some fun as we keep going in that campaign. I think you guys leveled up too. I think you're now in like the big boy level range of 4. You're kind of out of those first 3 levels, and you're starting to make some choices as to what your character is going to do and what they're going to be. I've been playing a weekly game of Vampire the Masquerade. I know I've talked about it with Meph on his Twitch, and others. Our coterie of vampires. We're, I think, 17 sessions in, which is really cool, where we've gone, what we're doing, getting involved in the politics of the city. But we play Wednesday nights, usually get going around 8:30 Central on Mephisto's Twitch. I know we've linked to that in the past. Puts it up on YouTube, usually the following few days after. And we've also, so Charlotte, she has a just impeccable ability of editing, and has taken the audio of our sessions and edited it down into a podcast format. Has released the first couple episodes, including a really cool, like, 2-minute trailer that I think I mentioned last time, Troy, we recorded. But they're on Spotify, and the first 2 episodes are out, and it's actually it's not full on audio drama, but it's less of the kind of actual play chaos banter side. It's just a cleaned up from 2.5 hours when you see the VOD on Twitch or YouTube to like an hour and 10 minutes, pretty crisp production with music and other things set to it on Spotify, and those are coming out weekly, I think usually on Mondays. And so episode 2 just dropped yesterday. So please check that out. I'll self-promote. We've got Milwaukee By Night on Twitter. Some of them have started to create like character Twitter accounts. We're really getting into it, having fun with it. So hope people can check it out and enjoy. Super fun to play in. We ended last session in a total cliffhanger where I'm beyond the veil. So in the world of darkness, there's the Umbra. It's kind of the world of spirits. Ended up there somehow after fighting a werewolf and trying to get out of there with one of the other members of the coterie. And there's this massive kind of monster coming in to give her Pixie, our Nosferatu neonate, a chance to get out. My character jumped towards the monster in a battle that will be very difficult, and that's where we ended. So I don't know if I'm going to live or die. Andrew said I met the first check mark of character death, which is making a choice that endangers yourself willingly. He's not going to just out and kill somebody, but I have put one step into the grave. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night on Twitch. If any of you do feel like listening, I would heavily suggest, if you feel like you're too far behind, start around episode 14. I think we introduce a new character, and we really hit our stride and have some awesome moments. So it's been awesome role playing, but I also think it's pretty entertaining as I've gone back and watched or listened. Troy, I don't know if you've tuned in or checked out anything yet.
I have not, since I'm behind on. I have not since probably 14. I'm probably a couple of weeks behind. I did check out a couple of I think there was some shorts you had mentioned last time on YouTube, right, where there's vignettes.
Yeah.
I watched a few of those. The thing, yeah, it's pretty. Partly again, I'm biased because I know people in the in the game, so it's interesting from that aspect. But I have not checked out the podcast things. I'm interested to see how she's put those together, and especially now that you're saying some music and everything else. I think that's going to be pretty interesting.
So yeah, it's just been a great game, and then kind of to see the other stuff coming from it has been pretty cool. And we usually have the same 12 to 15 people watching along in the Twitch chat. So you've got, some banter a character. If I have a down moment, I'll talk to, somebody in chat, or we engage there. So that's a different way of playing too, that I hadn't really ever done before. Where you're with your group, but you're also got a few other people, tagging along for,
filmed live in front of studio audience.
And like YouTube seeing a few hundred views, on the episode, it's pretty cool just to know that like people are watching. But we want to get it out there, so I'm sorry for the self promotion, but we'll put the links out there, and we want to get people engaged and checking it out. I know there's a ton of other options, and it's like, oh, another vampire game, but it's Milwaukee. So if you're Midwest, and we talk about the city. And today on a walk at work down the Riverwalk, I took some pictures of some of the buildings that like we described, because the other players, Charlotte's in Canada, Scott's down in Florida, Abby's in Arizona. So like they're from kind of all over, but Andrew and I are the ones who like know Milwaukee. I live and work here now. He used to live there, and is a short ways north. So just trying to share the vibe of like the city and some of the locations with the other players has been fun too. All right, self-promotion over. Now we can move on to game nights. Played Bargain Quest.
Yeah.
Yes.
My comment that I wrote for a note to remind myself is always sell big, cool, epic weapons. Don't waste your time on armor or potions or anything else. Just go for the big weapons. That's how you get the brave heroes into your store, and that's how you make the big bucks.
Yep, because then hopefully the hero. So Bargain Quest, right? The idea is, right, you have your it's the little, we all played D&D. It's the old idea that there's the magic store, we used to call it, or whatever, the weapon store, right? You go to town and the heroes all buy their stuff, and then they go off and adventure. And Bargain Quest, the game is all centered around, you each have your little store, and you want to basically you have different cards that represent the merchandise. And then there's a deck that kind of, you have different set of heroes that kind of come through. You're trying to attract the heroes to your store. So there's certain things you can do when you're, I feel like there was a drafting aspect to it, right? And I think when initially.
Yeah, you select the inventory for your shop. So you pass around the cards that are the items, and you use one to attract customers, and then the others are available for sale. So like they have a coin purchase price, and then a star or a heart for how much interest they generate, which sets if you're going first to select a hero or not.
And to get your inventory, I think we start with 6 cards or something, and you pick one and pass them around.
Yeah,
so
there's so there's like a drafting phase from just the mechanics point of view, and then you kind of you get the heroes, you kind of they get kind of stocked up. You would sell them their stuff, and then they go off and fight, and they might die, and I think you get different points, right? You get money no matter what you sell them, but I think if they actually come back and don't die in the fight, you actually get another bonus point.
You accrue victory points for their success. So if they wound the monster, you get one, and if they survive, you get one, and then other cards generate bonus points for other things. So ultimately, that's what you're trying to do, is accrue those victory points from outfitting the hero and then having the hero fight. And then the money, I think, serves as a tiebreaker, generates some points for every so many. So that's the win condition, is have the most victory points at the end of the game.
Yep. So it's fun. Yeah, and it was, I think it's Renegade. Is it the Renegade Games? I think I had bought it because I had heard fun things about it, and I think we had a full gang. John was over. I think Sydney we made kind of play. His youngest daughter. So. Yep, we finally got Bargain Quest to the table. So.
And then I think last time, Troy, you and I recorded, I think it was just the two of us. I talked about my acquisition disorder and how I've been buying a lot of stuff. And then there was one more thing I had to buy, and that was Ark Nova. I think it's Capstone Games. I'd have to double check. I don't have it nearby. But you are creating a zoo. So I found it in stock somewhere on Barnes and Noble, bought it, had it shipped to home, and then brought it over to Troy's to play with John and his oldest son, Ashton, back from college for the summer, which was pretty crazy to see grown up Ashton. And we played Ark Nova and built our own zoos and got animals in our various areas that you set up and pursued completely different wing conditions.
Yeah.
I mean, as you're building your zoo, there's all these different science technology cards that you can add or types of exhibits you can build. So it's really asymmetric in how you choose to win, and you track your progress in both like appeal, so how interested are people in coming to your zoo, and then conservation points. So you like the better you are at conservation, either putting actions towards specific projects or accruing different things, move on tracks that kind of head towards each other. And the end game is triggered when your appeal and your conservation line up. And then you get a final turn. So, and different people were further apart on that track than others. But art was really cool. Mostly animal pictures, but like the way the boards work, and you kind of have these little player boards where your map of your zoo, and you choose what type of enclosures, and if you're putting kiosks or picnic areas and different ways to improve your zoo and attract animals was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely a lot going on. Real interesting, like you said, in all the different, because there's so many different ways to kind of approach it. And again, yeah, just the different ways we each went about how maybe we could win in that. I know I started out strong, and then I think I completely broke my engine or at the end for when we went. But you learned a lot. I mean, again, it was the first playthrough too, so I think there's a lot of stuff you're kind of learning, because then you see the game develop. You're like, oh, I get it now. Now that's why you want to do this, and that's why you want to do that. And as you saw things kind of play out, it was pretty good. So again, I mean, it's kind of a heavier Euro. I think the rules aren't too bad. I think sometimes it's just you may get a cascade of effects that happen. I think there was a couple of times where people like, oh, well, I do this, which gives me one of those, which gives me one of these, which gives me one of these, and whatever. And typically, I mean, my guess is on our first play, we all probably did something wrong in the rules at some point. So I think Ashton might have won, but we're putting an asterisk on all the on all that, just because I think we all probably made at least one or two rule mistakes along the way around that. But it again, definitely something I would play again, because there's so many approaches to it, and you can come at it a different way. And again, there's a little bit of, I think you can control the luck, but you also, like, there may be certain cards that come up that kind of tell you, oh, maybe we should do this. And there's a little bit of worker placement, like somebody may take something that you really wanted, and so you have to kind of like, oh, my plan B is I'm going to go after this then this turn, and maybe come back to a different thing like that. So yeah, definitely I can see why people are excited about it. So
Yeah, Josh, it's one given some of the worker placement elements, and there's like almost set collection card, like different animal types, kind of like Wingspan has. It has some elements where I'm like, oh, I bet Josh might dig this game. So hopefully get that played this weekend when we get together.
Yeah, hearing you guys talk about it definitely sounds like something right up my alley.
Checks all the boxes, as they say. So I think from a gathering board game night, that's kind of what we've been up to. Troy, any online Weiss Brother gaming going on?
Just one. We did. Was it last weekend? I can't. We got this game we talked about before is Century Spice Road, which is what I always call the Splendor Killer. Josh doesn't believe me, but so we get that is on Board Game Arena. Again, one of the good things about Asmodee, they just keep adding more and more of the games that we always play on there. We saw that and we're like, oh, let's break that out. And yeah, again, really fun. Again, it's not exactly Splendor, but I think it's got a similar feel to it for me, and the mechanics are different in that. But you're you're basically creating an engine with the cards by either buying cards that allow you to change. There's like 4 different types of jewels on there. And in order to buy the cards that basically give you victory points, you need to kind of change your yellow into a blue, into a red, and you can have different cards that help you do that exchanges. And so you kind of create an engine, and then you try and grab the points. And so it plays about an hour-ish, if at most, around some of that. But real fun, kind of just has some cool mechanics to it. A little bit of player interaction because you have to kind of figure out what cards people are trying to buy and make sure they're not stealing it out from underneath you and things like that. So it's fun. Yeah, I hadn't played that for a while. It sits on my shelf over here, but it was fun to kind of get it to the virtual table.
Nice. And then a couple weeks ago, you ran some games. You went to Nexus.
Yeah, that was, I think, just after we had recorded last episode. We were prepping to go to Nexus, which was very end of June, I think. Around that in Brookfield, Wisconsin, at the brand new Brookfield Convention Center. First time I'd been in that building. I don't know if you guys have been in there. It's kind of super nice. Looks like it's kind of weird to have a gaming convention in this very business. It looks like a super nice business convention, really nice chandeliers and all. It's kind of crazy. And then you go into this room and here's all the tables and people in there. So I was there mostly Friday. John and I ran Zombicide Invader. So the space, same thing we'd run at Adepticon. We ran that scenario twice on Friday night. And we had a lot of fun. We had, I think, Chris, if you go way, way back, who's the owner, him and his son, one of his sons, played in our first session, which was fun with a couple other. I think there was 2 father-son kind of duos that worked really good. I actually think the kids did better than the dads. They grasped the game pretty quickly, and they both. I think they were probably both in the. One of them was, I think Chris's son probably is in that 11 to 12-year-old, and then the other one is probably a little bit older, maybe 13 or 14. But yeah, they kind of grabbed the rules right away, and then they were teaching the dads what to do around that. So it was fun, and then we had our second group was there. We were there on Friday. It kind of felt like we were the miniature guys invading a board game convention because there was literally no, we went there and they didn't, there was no table 52. We were supposed to be on table 52, and John had gone there. He's like, I can't find table 52. In the one room, it went to 51, and then the other room started at 54 or something like. But again, they did a really nice job. They made us the table 52 in the big. It was cool because they put us actually in the big room with all the board gamers, kind of right next. Matt Forbeck was overrunning his swords and sorcery. What is it?
Shotguns and sorcery.
Shotguns and sorcery. If I say it right. Game kind of 2 tables away from us over there, in there. But there was no other anybody miniature there. On Saturday, they had a room where all the 40K people and everything were. They had a small room with that, but it was kind of on Friday because we definitely felt like we were the miniature gamers kind of invading this board game convention. So, yeah, again, they had a kind of a very small kind of. I think they only had a few vendors there, but I think kind of a nice convention. If you wanted to kind of hey, we're gonna throw down, just play board games. They had a big board game library where you could check things out. Lots of different events being run and so forth. So, yeah, it's in our backyard. Have to figure out how to maybe run some more games there, or just kind of figure out how to turn it into a more of a weekend gaming one of these days.
Yeah, I had a baseball tournament for my son's team up in Cedarburg, so I was unable to get there for a pretty busy weekend. But what was the crowd like? And Josh, did you get a chance to swing through?
No, I had just gotten back from vacation, so it was it didn't line up well. But yeah,
I think
next year I'm going to try to make it a focus. Yeah.
It's the danger of summer, right? I mean, the summer, unless you're making a hey, I'm going to do this, there's so much competing in summer. And just been, again, as we talk about our hobby challenge and the thing, it's just I look back at all the different things I've done. It's not like I've been not doing stuff. It's just I've not been doing a lot of gaming or hobby stuff it's been doing a lot of outdoor stuff in Wisconsin when we have nice weather and things like that. So,
Right.
so it was like I said, Friday was I would say an average like they had the one big room was probably by the evening I would say was 3/4 full, like a big room, but they weren't their other smaller rooms didn't have a lot of people in it. Then I went on Saturday. I think that was their big day because Saturday we went and there was like I think there was some kind of 40K tournament in one of the other rooms that looked all full, and then they had a guy who was only there. I should remember there was a vendor who basically which was smart. They put him in the room with the 40K vendor in the room with the 40K guys. There in another room, and then the big room was pretty packed on Saturday. So I think they're there, and I did not swing by on Sunday to know what it looked like. But yeah, hopefully we get a good crowd, kind of can keep that convention going and find a space and kind of grow in there. I mean, I don't know anything. The only thing I can think is I don't know that convention needs to be 4 days, but I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm also not running it, so I'm not. But it just feels, yeah. It's like I wonder if you would do better to try and concentrate and get more of a crowd for 3 good solid days or something. But
Yeah. Cool. And do they have dates or I imagine venue for 23?
I think they're in the same spot, and I do not know if it actually announced the dates next yet.
Put you on the spot. Well,
Yeah.
we can look that up. Cool.
Yeah, I don't see anything announced for next year yet.
Okay. Well, then let's move in the hobby. I know we're kind of punting the hobby challenge and what we've been working on from that aspect to the following episode. But if you guys been doing anything else in your hobby space or your gaming area, Troy mentioned it is summer, so outdoor projects, and I've been neck deep in youth travel baseball for 35 games and whatever practices, but that's over. So now I'm hoping I get some weeknights back to reclaim when I'm not playing role playing games to do some painting and terrain making. But what about you guys?
So I've been messing around with the airbrush a little bit here and there, and apparently the last time I used it, I didn't clean it out thoroughly. I made my first rookie mistake, and I had to tear the whole thing apart because it was a mess. It just wasn't working, and so yeah, this is my first great airbrush clean out. I had to pull the whole Megillah apart and really get in there and clean it out, and yeah, so that was fun. I figured I'd share with the airbrush veterans that can commiserate, I guess. So
And what
Yeah.
airbrush?
So this is that starter airbrush that came with my compressor.
Okay.
Because I'm still nervous to use something good. I just want to I should really just
Use
go
something
go
good, because
yeah.
because you can actually you just start to get bad experiences when you use a cheap airbrush like this, like something that doesn't
and now that I have this one cleaned up, I think I'm gonna put it away in its little case and and then bust out the Badger Patriot.
Yeah, because a Patriot is, I mean, they're workhorse.
The workhorse.
They're a workhorse.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to mess those up, and they're easy to tear apart if you do get stuff in them. Yeah, and I think you'll just have a better experience and easier to learn with a brush that doesn't fight you as much.
Right. Yeah.
Roy, how about you? No airbrush cleanup. Other cleanup.
Other cleanup. So I think Josh was over here when we noticed that my basement was not cooperating with keeping water out. And some of that. So actually underneath, normally I'm behind me. You'd see if I'm over there in the bookshelf. But I was having some water problems, which are the last thing you want to have by your board game shelves. Good news is there was no real damage there. I just had kind of the carpet was getting wet in the spot, but I did not. But basically, that shelf was sitting on the carpet, so my IKEA shelf did not like. As I took everything apart, I noticed that. I mean, they're basically made out of paper. You love your Kallax bookshelves, but they're really just made out of compressed paper, right? They're IKEA shelf products. So so I tore that all apart, made a trip to IKEA because I realized I needed to basically replace the bottom. I actually have it's really a 4x5 is my shelf, which is really a 1x4 on the bottom. So I had to replace the 1x4 piece on the bottom. And then while I did that, I actually put little legs on it so that they're not sitting right on the carpet anymore, just to be safe.
Smart.
Yeah, because I mean, that corner was the driest part of my basement for a decade. So that's why I chose that. I thought I'd be okay there, but I don't know. Who knows? Trees, everything else, gutters, whatever. Something caused the problem. I think we know what it was. It was like we had some gutter and some landscape issues that were sending water back towards the house, which caused something. So that was my hobby, was rebuilding my bookshelf, tearing all the games out. And I think Ty was over when we played Ark Nova, because basically we had half of the game table and the other half was stacked with all the bookshelves, or all the games that you don't normally are on that bookshelf. So that was kind of that figured out. But that, of course, hasn't stopped me from buying stuff. But
it never ends. It never ends.
So I think we had talked about more heresy stuff. The new Sylvaneth Codex came out, so I might have bought a couple of AOS things. So, Ty, maybe we'll actually play an AOS game before.
I need to. I'm 3 weeks out or 4 weeks out, whatever it is, from NashCon. I don't know how to play the game. It's been 3 years. Evidently, there's a new General's Handbook, and everything is different, and I don't know what army to play. So I'm in a really great space to go to a tournament. I think I'm going to 0-5 this one.
Well,
I'm going to give Stu game one.
Become a better player, but at least you'll know the rules, maybe. So I am offering up. We should plan
we should do a practice game here for sure.
At least 1,000 point. Remember how to
learn to play.
The last time I played was actually with Ben at Gen Con last year, where I had to actually learn the rules. So
what I think we need to do is we need to hire Brendan to come over and teach us how to play AOS 4, because that's what it is now, I think, right? Or is it still 3? 3.5. 3 with the new handbook. Yeah. And he'll do a training montage for us in how to play.
That's not a bad idea. And I'm sure we can Brendan with something.
Yeah. We can throw Games Workshop product at him. All right, good. I'm glad we've got a plan there. Let's go to Kickstarter and crowdfunding. Quickly, we'll go over to Kickstarter. I got the update. I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago. Shotguns and Sorcery. Speaking of Matt Forbeck, seeing him at Nexus. The PDF was made available for download. Kind of give backers a once over before it went the final copy to the publisher to print and then ship. I think it's going to be August, September ish when that'll ship. So that book should be coming. And then just the other day, I shared in our Discord the Hasbro Pulse did a pre-order for a pretty quick turnaround on the next HeroQuest expansion called Frozen North. Adds some new monsters, a new quest book, and then it has a handful of solo adventures geared towards just the barbarian. So it has, I think, a series of 4 one-player barbarian adventures. So pretty cool. Always a chance to get some more models to add to that, even though I haven't even delved into the Witch King or Keller's Keep yet expansions or the other quest books in the base. It's just one of those games where it's fun to accumulate stuff and get some different models. So
So I will throw my tip, and we'll see whether it works or not, is order it off Amazon rather than Hasbro Pulse, because it's cheaper. We know Amazon lies, but they say they're going to get it to you sooner than Hasbro Pulse is. But I don't know how they're going to do that. But it is cheaper at least to get it through Amazon. So I found that when Ben or somebody pointed me at and like, hey, there's a new, and I didn't even realize it was like already ready to rock and roll. Like I think it's going to release in August, September here. So yeah, but when I went to order it is, yeah, I'm like, well, I'll go to Hasbro and whatever, and then realized they were, yeah, it ends up being at least $5 to $6 more expensive than if you just go to Amazon. If you're a Prime member, sorry, which I should assume everyone is, but
to be fair, you're giving either to big evil corporate retailer or a big evil corporate game company.
Right, yeah.
So I mean, either way,
or wait till it. I don't know if it'll. I did see it at like not this thing, but I actually saw HeroQuest at Games Universe. If you
HeroQuest is out there in the wild. Yep. Then what about Josh? Any kickstarting? Backing any 3D printing terrain extravaganzas?
Don't think so. Trying to think.
Have you kept your acquisition disorder in check here? Do we need to unleash you into the wild of Gen Con vendor hall? And
I did get my wet palette from Redgrass
yeah,
recently.
Cool.
So
that encourages hobbies. So that's I feel like that's a good thing. Like
true. Yeah. My Kickstarter acquisition has slowed, so I guess that's positive.
I'm using Massive Darkness 2 box as an end table next to my recliner in the basement. It's still unopened, taped, and literally I have books and a bag of veggie straws on it currently. I'm literally using the whole Kickstarter box as an end table.
Great.
That's probably about right? What does a good end table cost nowadays? Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, but seriously, it's fine furniture. It's custom furniture. You know, you can't
beat this cardboard.
Yeah, you can't get a good end table for less than that. The only the one that I finally got is Blood on the Clocktower, which I have no. It literally might be 3 years that it took for this thing to get out. But a lot of people are still really excited about that game. It looks gorgeous, although I haven't like cracked it completely open yet. But I was happy to finally. I didn't believe it was ever really going to come, and then it showed up. So at some point we might have to figure out how to play that with a decent group. Maybe that's something I do throw in to the Gen Con thing and figure out if that's a late night, because it's a social deduction kind of game, supposed to be really good with all the different roles, and so it's like werewolf but good kind of thing.
Yeah, bring it along. We don't have to sit in a circle in the hallway of the convention center to play, though, do we?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
And,
good.
But I do need to get familiar. Although I've seen, again, the game has been out in the wild for so long. Like there's so many examples. Like you could play it digitally, I think, and play it whatever for years before they actually got the. Yeah, I mean there's a whole lessons learned on what not to do for how to build a Kickstarter game. And I guess there's also don't have a pandemic in the middle of it is also probably one of the first rules.
Yeah, but, that's a big part of it.
But I should figure out the date. But I really feel it's like 3 years at least since kind of when I backed this thing.
Sweet. How about any other kind of items before we get into the library segment? I know the one thing I kind of picked up, which was fun, is the Baldur's Gate Commander Legends box of booster packs, and I open a bunch of them rather than save them for any kind of draft, because why would I play Magic when I can just open packs and see if I get cool cards? And then Landon is always interested in opening packs of like Pokemon and seeing what value he gets from the cards. So he opened like probably 6 or 7 packs with me, and we had tcgplayer.com up to like price out what's the market price on cards and put them aside. And he was not really interested in the cards themselves, but more the value. And I'm like, well, if we get any of the ancient dragons, they're like the ones that are actually selling for value. So I have my miniature market stack of rares that I'm going to bring the Gen Con to sell, to then buy other cardboard or plastic because it's been a few years. So now I've got a few stacks of rare cards that I'm hoping maybe I can get some store credit from them, um, and and sell. But that's always a fun experience for me at Gen Con. I always make a point of going with my box of rares from the random crap I've bought over the last few years of Magic the Gathering, and it's all probably worthless, but it's fun just to sit down and see.
I should do that too. Here's I bought a one of those collector packs of Baldur's Gate.
Nice.
At Target.
Yep.
And just to open and play and mess around.
I got a Minsk and Boo Planeswalker, which is pretty cool.
Those are pretty cool. Yep.
Some Ancient Dragons, and I got Elena's. What is it? It's not Radiant Pool. It's something Pool. One of her new cards, which is a land that's supposed to be very, very worthwhile to include in commander decks. So, pretty fun to open those up and see what you get. And then I also, from Miniature Market, speaking of Miniature Market, they were one of few stores that had the base set of the Marvel Champions living card game. So that came out, I think, last year, maybe around this time. And it's been really hard to find the base set in stock anywhere. But you can get a lot of the hero packs and the expansions and stuff now. But Miniature Market had the base, and then I bought the like Thanos expansion and like a Venom and Hulk and somebody else character pack just to have. So that should be coming any day now. But I've heard it's a really, really good game. It's kind of in that Fantasy Flight style of like when they did Arkham and when they've done other living card games. 1 to 4 players, so you kind of build your hero deck and then encounter a villain deck of some kind or encounters of some kind. So I'm excited to check that out because I've heard really great things about that game, and it's kind of a cooperative living card game. So, cool. And it's Marvel. And who doesn't like Marvel?
You can't go too wrong with it. Yeah, you'll have to tell us that, or we'll have to figure out a way to play. But I don't know that I'm going to buy into yet another card game.
Yeah, I figured the cool thing is now that I've got the base set, what I've heard is if you were like interested, you could buy one of the hero packs if there was like a hero you wanted to play, and then it's easy with like the base cards to just have that be in as long as one person has the base set. Is my understanding is that you can play it with, you don't each need a base set to play the game. But what about you guys? Any other random stuff? I know, Josh, you were up in the Wisconsin Dells with family, and we had a brief discussion in chat about Wizard's Quest. Did you go? And who was the best wizard?
I think they were actually closed because
no way.
No, not like for good. They were closed like that day. I think we were there.
Were you there on a Monday at like noon?
It was a Sunday or a Monday. I forget.
I'm gonna
when
check
we were
their
downtown.
hours. I'm gonna check their hours.
There was a spot that they said they moved stores.
Yep.
And so we did pass by the old place, and I knew that wasn't it. But then we passed by what I thought was the new place, and it looked like they were closed or renovating or something because it wasn't
construction next to them.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Well, I tried to check it out, and it wasn't happening.
All right.
And my dad actually had some knee problems, and so we had to get him back into the car, and it was kind of a mess by the time we got there. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, just so you know, for future reference, Josh, their business hours are Sunday through Saturday, so every day of the week from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m., and they are located at 400 Broadway, Wisconsin Dells.
All right. Good to know.
Next time you're there, you have to go. It's an experience unlike any other.
Yep. Yeah. Don't do True Dungeon. Just go do Wizard Quest. It's cheaper.
It is cheaper, and you never need the slide tokens, and the puzzles are actually like challenging.
Yep.
True Dungeon puzzles are challenging.
They're not. Only when you need to put a towel over your head to not see the monster or something.
The puzzles?
Yeah. I mean, from what I recall, there was only one that was moderately challenging when our groups would go.
All right.
I feel like we always had cheaters, though. We always had
Yeah.
That's why we bring Danner.
right. I feel like we either had Mike or Danner, and so I'm like, it was more of like, what? Just tell me what to do to solve this puzzle.
Right. Yeah. When you go and nobody knows, some of the puzzles are pretty hard.
So no on the wizard quest. All right.
No, we did not go, and I don't know that anybody would have gone with me anyway. It would have just been me.
No.
So
Well, maybe.
it is really cool inside. Like
Yeah.
the look and feel. The kids would be like, this looks like it just looks cool.
My daughter, like Sarah, is all over it. She can't. We were there for like 3 hours, and that's. I think if we ever go near the Dells, that she's gonna be like, when are we going? She doesn't even care about the swimming stuff. She's just gonna be like, when are we going to Wizard Quest? So.
All right. And Troy, you already kind of touched on Nexus. Was there anything you acquired there, or did you do any purchasing? No.
Nope. Yeah, they had pretty small vendor hall. Like I said, I wasn't gonna go. I did not. I just did a drive by on Saturday when the guy who actually was like the Games Workshop vendor was there, and so I didn't have time to go buy stuff. But
All right. Well, then let's open the door to the BOD library and talk a little bit about what we've been consuming from a content thing. I'll go first. I have been listening on Audible. I finished up the R.A. Salvatore. It's like Child of a Mad God that I'd been listening to, one of his non-Forgotten Realms book series. Don't think I'll keep going on the series. So then I was looking for something else. So I downloaded Lovecraft Country, the book by Matt Ruff that the show is based on. I'm enjoying it about halfway through because I saw that the second book is up for pre-order. So I'm like, oh, I want to go, read this before that hits so I can check it out. And then I'm also making my way through Gideon the Ninth, enjoying that a lot. Space Necromancers are awesome. And they're kind of unraveling the mystery, on the, forget what they call the original house that they're in. And then Landon and I are on the third Redwall book, Madame Mayo. So we're making our way through that. Usually, a few times a week, we'll read a chapter a night for some reading with him and revisiting Redwall. And then I did learn that it looks like Netflix picked up the rights to Redwall, and they're doing a series and movie in the coming, whenever that develops. There's no set timetable, but that was February of 21. They picked those rights up. So that would be really cool if that's a book series that I loved as a young person. And Landon's really, really enjoying. So I'm having fun revisiting that. And then watching Stranger Things, the season 4 or chapter 4 finale was like 2.5 hours long. Not sure if you guys have watched it yet. I'm not going to talk about it at all because spoilers are lame. But the moratorium on spoilers will be up here pretty soon, so then I'll need to talk about it because there's a lot of like theories of what happens here for the final season that I want to talk about. And then I'm late to this party, but since I'm playing Vampire, I decided to see how the pros do it. So I started watching LA by Night with Jason Carl, B. Dave Walters, Alexander Ward, Eric Ishii, and others, that started back in 2018. I'm on like season 2, so I'm now 2019 watching that backlog. And then New York by Night, they just did the second episode Friday. A new chronicle, new characters. But Jason Carl's just a phenomenal storyteller, and B. Dave Walters is absolutely a gem when it comes to role playing and gaming in general. So enjoying that a lot, but going back through that back catalog on YouTube, checking that out has been fun.
Cool. And little cross promote, right? Meth had beat Dave Walters
He
on
he
the
did.
cast, which is
He
pretty cool.
did. So what's really cool is Scott, who plays Ben Sahar in our game in Milwaukee, told Andrew, he's like, I'm just gonna message him. I've heard he does. If you ask him to do it and schedules work, he'll do a show. Like, and he's like, no, kind of like, because he's a huge fan and really respects and appreciates. So Scott sent a random DM to B. Dave Walters saying, hey, my buddy does a show, a podcast. Would you be willing to do it? And then they compared schedules, and Andrew actually lined it up and sent him kind of like show notes and got him on, and they had a really cool discussion, just about gaming in general. And B. Dave Walters, the Stranger Things tie-in too. It's on YouTube. You can find it. He DM'd a D&D session for a few of the cast members from Stranger Things, and that was
Nice.
fantastic. Just absolutely awesome. It was like Gaten Mazzaro, Finn Wolfhard, the girl that plays Erica, and can't think of the actor's name, but he plays Eddie in the current season. So it was super fun, and he's an excellent DM, GM, what have you. But yeah, that rantcast was really cool, and that's available on YouTube now too as well.
If I remember to put the link in.
Josh, what have you been watching, or any? Let's start with Audible. Are you staying up on your reading this year?
You just kick me when I'm down.
Yep.
You get
I'm
me for the
encouraging
Joe's
you.
Quest
I'm
or Wizard's Quest.
encouraging
No,
you
I am not.
to read.
For whatever reason, in the summer I don't read a lot. It's like out there doing stuff, running around. I end up just throwing on a podcast if I'm listening to something, and I don't really sit and read. I just can't. Like it doesn't. It's not my thing.
Your boy
But
Tom Segura's got a book out.
yeah, he does. He
I
does. I
read
might.
I read that in like a day and a half. Yep.
It's funny. Yeah, I listened to one of his recent podcasts, and he's like, "That's the comment I keep getting is that people are reading it in like 3 hours or something," and then he's like, "I don't know what they expected of me." So yeah. Anyway, no, but I think since the last time I missed a show because vacations or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, so I cranked through Obi-Wan. That was really good. I like that.
Not really, but we'll let
you didn't like it?
I'm not. I can't even
Oh.
finish. We'll get to mine. I can't even.
All right.
Finish
All right.
it, but
man, okay. I had gotten into this series alone. The wilderness survival. I'd watched a few of the first seasons, and then I'd watched like some of the later seasons when they're like in the winter. But there was a couple seasons in the middle that I had never watched, and so yeah, I kind of binged through those. That was pretty good.
You watching
And then
the new season in
I
Labrador?
am, yeah. So now that I'm all caught up with every season, yeah, I'm watching this new season now. So yeah, it's good. And then The Boys, I've always liked that show, and that new season's out. And Severance, I keep hearing good things about Severance, and that's on Apple TV. And it's really good. It's weird. I'm only a couple episodes in, but it's weird. It's weird but good weird. So yeah, I like it.
Very cool. Troy, what's on your consumption radar?
So I'll do reverse. So I've caught up on my my Marvel movies. So I had never seen, Far From Home, because in order to watch Doctor Strange, they're like, oh, you really need to kind of catch up on Spider-Man's. You don't really need to, but at least No Way Home actually sets you up. But I had never watched Far From Home either. So I watched Far From Home, No Way Home, and then Doctor Strange was already on Disney Plus. So ran through all those. I enjoyed all those movies. They were all really good. Enjoyed that, and especially Doctor Strange is pretty good around that. So happy I'm caught up on my. I'm not, because now I have not seen Thor: Love and Thunder, which I'm excited to go see. Again, it'll be a good, probably fun romp around that. So I finally finished, and in reading, I kind of, nothing that we haven't really talked about finally finished Dead House Gates, all 30 million hours of that. Love it. Tempted to just dive into the next 43 hour. I think I was looking at Audible. What is it's the Iron, whatever it is. I don't remember what, but it's like 43 hours. So I'm like, literally it's going to take me about 2 months on Audible to get through it. So I was doing a little palate cleanser. So I think Ty, you had recommended the Hank Green book. Around An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. Loved it. Just devoured that in it's not super long, but devoured that in less than a week. And then I was like, oh, and I jumped right into the second book because I'm just going to go right through. Really, the narration is really, really good. I don't know if you listened to it or not, but
oh yeah, I listened to both those.
And the actress that did she
April,
she did such a good job. And then it was again. I love that book and just that it's very much social commentary about the world we live in and social media and how it affects everything you do. But then there's the story there that kind of keeps you and keeps you engaged and stuff like that. I mean, I kind of compared it to, I don't know if people have read Cory Doctorow in the past. Was never a huge fan of the Cory Doctorow, because I felt like he kind of maybe hit you over the head with the social commentary and the story was very secondary. And so I could never really get through a Cory Doctorow book, but that's it. So Hank Green kind of reminds me of a Cory Doctorow, but better, where I can actually read. So we'll see.
Evidently, Hank Green's brother, I think it's John, is a very good writer. I haven't read any of his stuff, but I've heard good stuff about.
Oh, is that why I feel like that name keeps coming? Like I keep searching for Hank Green books, and the John Green books keep coming up in my Amazon or Goodreads kind of stuff, which is funny. So I didn't go down there rabbit hole. So that's what I'm currently reading. Kind of get through that, and then I'm either gonna. I think I have a few 40K books I'm gonna dive into before I probably dive into the next Malazan book.
Yeah, I'm about to get.
I already made my bad commentary about trying to get through.
Can't finish Obi-Wan.
Trying to finish it. I'll finish it because it's Star Wars and it's all right, but it's not what it could be.
I've yet to start, and I've heard mixed reviews, but I've also heard if you go into it with not incredibly high expectations, you'll enjoy it. But if you go into it too high of expectations, you'll feel like it's a little flat at times, or it doesn't quite hit the mark for what you're looking for. But I do really like Ewan McGregor, so I think I'll.
Actually, I think he's. Yeah, I don't think he's the problem. I just. Yeah, I'm a little. Yeah. I think the story's a little weak. I'm just there's a lot. Just you don't want. You're like, why? Why am I? Why are they even?
Well, that.
Why am I? Why? Yeah. Why did they even make a show? I feel like we're so many. There are probably a million other stories that could have been better.
Yeah, to be fair, they're doing Andor as a new series. That's a character I don't know that I need to see. What is it, Cassian Andor or whatever? I don't need a series about him. I was fine seeing him in Rogue One. That's all I need. I don't know. I definitely think they may oversaturate Star Wars if they keep it up. There are things that I'd like to see, different bounty hunter stuff. The Mandalorian was great. So we'll see. Clone Wars, their animated stuff that they've done, and the Bad Batch was very good.
Is really good. Yep.
But we'll see.
The actress that played Princess Leia, though, was fantastic. Yep. She did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what you're saying. There's, some of it was kind of it's kind of campy Star Wars, right? But there were definitely some moments where I was just this is really good. Especially the scenes with, Princess Leia. She just nails that role, and some of those things, I just okay, yep, I get it. Yeah. I like it. So yeah. Anyway,
the show that I'm most excited for and most nervous about is coming up here in September. I may need crisis counseling if it's terrible, and that's Amazon's Rings of Power, second age of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
Yeah. I've seen trailers that look really good. I'm just trying to temper expectations because I love Lord of the Rings so much that I'm worried, but I'm also incredibly excited. Like, I think I'm more excited than I was that Walking Dead was being adapted than when Game of Thrones is being adapted. Like, this is my return to Middle Earth, granted a different age and different characters, but like that's my, film book IP that is available now that I'm, if somebody were to say, oh, we're going to do Abercrombie books or we're going to do Malazan, I'd be like, heck yeah, let's go. But Lord of the Rings is already like established in there. So returning to that after what's crazy, guys, it's been 20 years.
Oof.
Oh yeah,
since
the
Peter
movies.
Jackson's
Yeah,
movies.
Yep.
I mean, the Hobbit movies don't really count. They were interesting and okay in their own regard, but like this is the the return to Tolkien.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
Made me feel really.
we can't as we talk, right? We can't. We're in the golden age, right? Like the fact that we can even have these things being made, even if they're not everything's gonna be excellent, right? But when we waited for so long to even like these things have never even the fact that there's now vehicles and people.
I mean, the best we had for most of my childhood was Willow.
Yep. Oh,
like,
did you see that? That's what I lost it.
Yeah.
That my most exciting like all that Disney like in the trailers. All of a sudden I saw the Willow series trailer. That's when I lost it. I'm like, oh my god! I tried to drag my family and they didn't get it. Like I'm like, no, it's Willow. You gotta believe it's Willow. Oh yeah, so I'm super there. And then we have Sandman on Netflix very soon.
Yes,
that's gonna. I'm trying to like. I think it's gonna be good. I hope it's gonna be good. Neil Gaiman told me it's gonna be good. Like
we should do Sandman viewing parties.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I forgot one thing. On my wife and I took a vacation after the Dells, just her and I, and she actually offered this up. She goes, "Hey, we should go see a movie," because it was like ridiculously hot, and we were trying to think of some indoor thing to do. And I'm like, yeah, let's go see a movie. And she goes, how about Top Gun? And I'm like, yes, let's go. So yeah, totally campy, totally like, yeah, it was. I mean, it was essentially the same story, more or less, right? From back in the day. But yeah, it was good. I liked it. It was fun.
And I have not seen it yet, but I can't tell you that you're about the third or fourth story I've heard where it's the woman who was so excited to go see Top Gun. I don't know why. Like they did something in the marketing because I did not think it was targeted at women, but that's all I keep hearing is.
Well, I mean, they put Miles Teller and the other guy shirtless in the trailer,
right? And so that's all I keep hearing is women and wives bringing their husbands to go see Top Gun and everybody enjoying it. That's.
I mean, they go so far as, I mean, they even have like the beach sports scene, right? It's not volleyball, but yeah, they play. Yeah. Anyway, it's funny.
All right. So we're going to take a short break after the library here. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by Teras Cassidy of Geek Nation Tours. And we're going to talk to Teras about all things GNT, get a little bit of a tour of his gaming room / office, and just kind of catch up. So stay tuned, and when we get back, we'll be remotely connected with Teras.
All right, and welcome back. And we are here with Teras Cassidy, the head geek of Geek Nation Tours. And Teras, thank you for joining us tonight. It's great to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I was going to say us there for a second. I don't know who else, maybe back here or something. Thank you for having me.
Oh, this is great. Great to have you. Again, we will go into a little bit, but we've kind of known each other on and off for almost 10 years. It was funny as we went back and checked it out. And we're great to have you on to talk about, again, as we talked about in the last couple episodes, and then when I was on 40K Radio, about we're really excited to do some Space Hulk stuff for the Adepticon tour with you guys. But we want to go a little bit deeper tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about you, and we always like to find out where people got into the hobby gaming and what their background is too. And then we'll also go into Geek Nation tours, of course, and then we may just ask you some random questions, which as we go through there too. So Teras, why don't you go ahead and give us your origin story for gaming? Before there was Geek Nation tours, before everything else, I think you were a gamer, but I do not know your story of how you got into this, like we all did.
Sure. My parents were really, really good at providing games as kids. When I was really young, everything from Risk to Monopoly to Admiral to all those board games of the past, we had a whole chest full of board games. So I have there was 5 kids in the family, including me, and so we played games when I was young, mostly board games. And then at one point, I was, of course, like most of us, really into monsters at one point when I was young, about 11 years old, and I walked into this store that I had frequented, and I saw the Dungeon Master's guide, and the Monster Manual, and I didn't know what they were. I picked up the Monster Manual and I brought it home and looked at it, and I realized it was a game. And then from there on, everything kind of fell into place. I started to paint D&D miniatures. I remember going on the bus. I must have been, again, 11 years old. My mom would give me a quarter to go on the bus, and I would take my $1.50 and I would go to this, travel across the city and get my one miniature from Kites and Other Delights, and then I would bring it home and paint that one miniature. And it used to be, was a different world back then as it now, right? We have, click, I just bought a whole army type of thing, But yeah, back then it was lead and it was like painting a little miniature. So I really got into painting miniatures that way through Dungeons and Dragons. And then when I met a friend in university who became a really good buddy of mine because of wargaming, and he introduced me to Epic, Space Marine, and Rogue Trader. So I started painting those miniatures and created armies. And Epic was my real first miniatures game. I did do 28 or 25 millimeter, whatever it was back in the day. But really, my first big armies were from Epic.
Yeah, and I won't date you, Teras, but I think you and I are very similar age on that, which puts us a little older than Josh and Ty. But yeah, that was again, as our story. That kind of the Games Workshop Epic. The original, what was Adeptus Titan? The original Adeptus Titanicus was that era, all that stuff. So definitely.
So Teras, when you got in the D&D though, was it just the painting miniatures, or were you running campaigns or playing as well? Like, were you the DM?
Yeah, I was the DM. I was forcing my my gaming group, my nerd friends, to play with me, which was a different thing too back in the day. Nerds have a lot of, and geeks have a lot of freedom now. Like you open up a comic book on the bus, and you're just like every other person on the bus. But back then, I'd have to hide my comic books and hide the fact that I was a D&D player.
Oh yeah.
And so, or you might get beat up by the football team or something like that. So it was an interesting time to be a geek back then, that's for sure. And but yeah, I was running my campaigns and getting my geek friends to come about. As a matter of fact, I remember walking probably a mile in the city to my friend's place in minus 40 degrees. So now, as you probably know, minus 40 is equal to minus 40 in Fahrenheit. That's when they come together, right? Yeah. So I would walk for like a mile with my Dungeons and Dragons book in the snow and everything, like coming down and minus 40, and everything is crunching because it's just so cold outside, and black because, of course, in Canada in winter it's 4 o'clock and it's dark.
Sun's gone, sure.
And so I remember walking and then sitting down and opening up a module and playing, and then having to walk back home. So Yeah, for sure. We were, I don't know if dedicated would be the right word. We were dedicated to play, but I'm not sure if we were dedicated to go through entire campaigns. We certainly did, but I think that I would become bored about one module and then move into the other. Or
Yeah.
if I saw my guys were like, oh, I don't know, I would say, okay, let's just do a different one, you know. But yeah, I was running the campaigns too back then. Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm the king of bad segues that end up working out, but I think dungeon mastering and leading your party through those modules and campaigns probably transitions to leading tours and what you have made a business of. So when did Geek Nation Tours come together? Like how did you transition from recreation and hobby to, you know, career and founding GNT?
Sure. In 2009, we had the big recession, and I actually owned, at that time, I owned 2 travel agencies. So I moved from Vancouver to a small town in the middle of, really just outside of Jasper National Park, and I didn't know what to do. And my mother-in-law said, well, she had an insurance brokerage, and she said, I always wanted to have a travel agency in here too. Why don't you become a travel agent? So I'm like, okay, I got nothing else to do, so I'm going to do this. So I had pretty good success in that. And then the 2009, 2008 recession hit, and there was nothing. No one could do anything. And at that time, I was starting to take off summers, like just doing nothing during the summer, because it's pretty slow in the travel industry for Canadians in the summer. And the recession hit, and I asked my crew, do you want to have the summer off or get paid for it? And work throughout the summer. Because I gave them the option instead of me taking the option. They said, no, I don't want to work. And I was like, oh my God, no. Because I knew how slow it would be. So I was buying Donald Featherstone books about wargaming constantly. And that's all I would do at the office, is just read wargaming books all the time. So, and I was really worried about the business because there was nothing. And I was starting to think about what else I could do. I was thinking about, maybe booze cruises or something like that. Mexico, go to getting a tourist to Mexico and doing that kind of thing. But it never really, it wasn't anything I really wanted to do. It was something that I would have had to do almost. And Donald Featherstone's book, the Battlefield Walker's Handbook, came across my desk. And of course, I gobbled it up, and I'm like, oh my God, I could do this. I could do battlefield tours. And then I heard a couple podcasts, namely 40K Radio, back in the day when they first started. And I was like, oh my God, I can just do all the geeky stuff that I want to do. No one's doing that anyway. So yeah, that's how it started. Yeah. So that's how it transitioned. And you're right, there is an element of role playing involved in leading groups, or leading, I think, anyway. But for sure in leading groups into unknown places.
Absolutely. I mean, Troy and Josh and I have joked in the past about dungeon mastering and role playing being a transferable career skill into the corporate world as well, when it comes to project management and scheduling mainly.
Absolutely. I think it's a huge skill. It's also a really good social skill, right? I think it's a good, and that it translated from being a DM, but also being a player, because you actually have to kind of cooperate with everyone. Yeah. And I think that's that intrinsic to role playing is the cooperation and getting to know your neighbor too, understanding that you guys might not have the same politics, or you might not agree in a lot of things, but we can not agree to disagree. It's not like that. I think it's more like we can live with each other because we have to actually cooperate to do something. And I think that's a huge skill that maybe we should have more Dungeons and Dragons and role playing going on right now. Yeah,
absolutely. So was that roughly 2010, or are we on like is this year 12 of tours and geek themed tours? Okay.
Yeah, because I started in 2009 building the company, and I think my first 2 tours in 2010 were miniatures in the UK and the San Diego Comic-Con.
Okay,
So-
great. So I was going to ask, what was, the official first tour?
Yeah.
So you kind of hit the biggest Comic Con in the States, and then went to Nottingham for kind of the foundation of miniature wargaming as we know it.
Yeah, exactly. We the first one was it was in that order that you just mentioned too. It was San Diego first. So I kind of cut my teeth on San Diego, and then we did the miniatures in the UK, and we went to like the Bovington Tank Museum, and we did a whole bunch of other stuff, and then we went to Nottingham. So it was my first time building a tour that kind of encompassed traveling at the same time. And that one was really interesting because I was really worried about how it would be. Because, of course, we have this stereotypical what is a geek type of thing, right? Where it's like that you live in your basement and you can't really talk socially. And you know what I mean? All those stereotypical things about what a geek is. So when I made the company, I'm like, I'm going to make this company. It's going to be great. And then one night I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my God, what if everyone's like the stereotypical geek on these tours? It'll be a nightmare. You know what I mean? And so
you bring extra deodorant and
that's right. That's exactly it, right? No one can wash, and everybody's no one will talk. It'll be silence all the way through on the bus because no one wanted to talk to each other. I learned a couple things on those first tours. First of all, that those type of geeks do exist, but they're in the minority by far. And those type of geeks actually don't want to come on my tour because they want to do everything by themselves. So it kind of self-populates with the other side of geeks that are successful, because I'm not cheap, I'm expensive, right? You can go straight up front. You can do any of my tours for cheaper by yourself, 100%. I give value added. That's what I do. I mean, I get geek celebrities, and I have access to people, and I have tons of other stuff that makes the tours better. But if you wanted to do the Slim Jim thing, you can do it cheaper, period. And so you have to be successful in order to afford me, and to be successful, you kind of have to be socially successful also. It's just they come in parcels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was really worried about that my first tour, and then the Comic-Con one seemed to work pretty good, but I didn't know what the next ones were going to bring. So I used to include air. So everybody, we left from Toronto on a charter flight to the UK, and I was really worried about how people were going to react. But I wanted to stay outside security and make sure that I got everybody through, and then I could go and see how the group was going to work, right? And I'm like super worried about it. Finally, the last guy shows up. His flight flew in. He was late. He comes through and he's like, okay, go through security and I'll be right behind you, and then we'll get on the plane. And so I'm get him through, and then I, gather all my stuff up and I walk up, and then security is a mess. And I'm like, oh my God. So I get through security finally, and I'm rushing to the gate. And I'm like, now I have to organize all these people and get them on the plane, and there's hardly any time, and I won't be able to introduce them all. And I got there, and they had commandeered a corner of the gate area, and they were pulling out their miniatures and talking to each other, and some of them were rolling dice at the gate and everything. I'm like, my tribe is right here, and they all get it. They all were like, perfect. We're gonna fall into each other's friendships, and it happens constantly. And that's one of the things that I really love about GNT is that it creates, and I think I'm most proud of. It creates friendships. My goal has always been to create a mini community within a community. So like Adepticon is a good example. Like trying to create a mini community within the greater community of Adepticon, within the greater community of geekdom worldwide. And I think that I've got a good recipe for doing that, and people really just fall into that whole thing. So that's really what I like about it. So
worldwide. I mean, truly too. I know. So through Brian Nero at Anvil 8, who I know has done various things with you in the past. There's a gentleman from kind of the middle of nowhere, Germany, Volker, who comes on the Adepticon trips, and I know he loves just that community. Knowing people on the tour, coming by himself. From Germany, and it was funny because I was actually in Essen a few years back with Brian and Will, and Volker was there as well,
Right.
and he kind of showed us some spots in Essen to go, and had some meals with us and got to host us. But it was kind of that interesting, worldwide. But now when I see him, he's always on one of your groups
Yeah.
whenever it's at Adepticon, or he might have done Gen Con once, but
Gen Con.
yeah.
He's done Essen with us too for Frostgrave, which was awesome too. Maybe we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
My favorite Volker story, if I don't mind, I don't want to commandeer everybody.
No.
No,
We're here for the stories.
Yeah.
My favorite Volker story is that, I always have a welcome dinner, no matter what tour I'm in. And we were at Adepticon, the welcome dinner was going, and Volker was late for the welcome dinner for whatever. Maybe his flight came in, or he was jet lagged or whatever. And he came in late. Everybody had already been sitting down, and I was talking about, just basically welcoming people. And I always have some sort of spiel, something to talk about miniature wise. And Volker came in, and the room spontaneously shouted, "Volker!" And he was like, "Oh my God." It was like Cheers, though, again, dating myself. But it was like that, you walk in and it's like everybody knows your name.
Yeah.
And that was an excellent time. It's actually one of my favorite memories, not only of him, but also of tour. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, you started with those two, Comic-Con and the miniatures in the UK. Other trips you've added, what have been some of your favorites, that you were able to take a group on, or that have become perhaps they're, recurring every year? Are there any that, as you've kind of matured the business, and that have been like the quickest to sell out, and the biggest hits with your the people that utilize your service?
Sure. Gen Con and Adepticon always do well. They're always great ones. They're also very easy because I consider them kind of my entry level tours, because we only go to one spot. We just hang out in one spot. Usually we leave, like at Adepticon, we leave the confines of the Renaissance Hotel and go to other restaurants and that kind of thing. So, but we don't venture out. So those are always really good starting points for people. You know what? I really do love them. I pick them for me in a lot of ways. I'm like, where do I want to go? I really love Japan. Japan has always been my a second home to me. So my samurai tours, I have 3 samurai tours now, I think, and a anime one to Japan, just because I love going back and forth there. My Europe ones, I do like the miniatures in the UK one. I have great friends in Nottingham. John Stollert was super good at helping me for that first one from Warlord. He introduced me to a lot of pubs, which is typical John Stollert. But he helped me with actually, you know what? He was the first person to kind of point out, and I'll never forget this actually as a memory. We were at the trip to Jerusalem, which is a really super old pub. It's supposed to be the oldest pub in England, but I think every single pub claims to be the oldest pub in England. But we were there, and everybody was having a great time. And of course, I started thinking about, okay, well, tomorrow, what do I have to do? And I was just kind of, zoning. And he came up to me and said, "Teras." And I'm like, "What?" "Look what you've done. You've brought all these people here, and they love. Look at what they're doing. They're having this great time in this pub. They're all had a great meal there and drinking, and there's like John Stollert and Ronnie Renton a whole bunch of guys from GW that are there, and just tons of people that are interacting. One of my guys on that tour taught, I think it was Priestley. Yeah, it was Priestley.
Oh.
He taught him how to play Bang at this pub. like that's the kind of thing that was happening, right? And John said, Teras, look, pay attention.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first time that I understood reward in a lot of ways, because my reward is, those instances are my reward. When I look up and I'm like, oh my God, everyone's having a great time, I win. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. When everyone's so enjoying it, I got lots of memories like that too. But whenever somebody's really enjoying what they're doing. What was the question again?
Yeah. You nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah. I think we were talking about favorite, all the different trips, the favorite ones. Yeah. You nailed it. You nailed it.
Okay, good.
I laughed because I don't remember what the question was either. I was just enthralled.
I think that speaks to something really, really cool, though, that, is a common theme of the people, at the airport, from your story of that first kind of trip gathering, gamers in general, when we're amongst other gamers, where everyone's kind of in their element, and that somewhat natural like defense mechanism that people usually have of engaging with others and talking kind of goes away. It's pulled aside, and we're all in a common element of something we love. We play games because we enjoy it. It's not because somebody's forcing us to, or what have you. It's and then to share that with others is part of the community aspect that I think a lot of us really enjoy too, where we might work at home by ourselves all day, and it's our D&D group, or it's our wargaming club that we actually hang out, and those are our tribe, our people.
Absolutely. And I think that again, what I'm proud of is that more and more our society, especially post-COVID, has become work from home. And there's nothing wrong with working from home. That's what I do. And I think it's awesome, to tell you the truth. And I think that it's actually better for the environment, and it might be better for you socially, the whole bit. But what I do is I create the community. So when you come, you're in a community, right? And the only thing that I do that is, again, what we were talking about, leadership and Dungeons and Dragons and role playing, is that I might ask a few questions at the beginning, like my Samurai and my Star Trek tour. Those are two good examples. Like my Star Trek tour, we're on the bus. We had our little bit of a welcome dinner the night before. We hung out. Everybody went their way. And then on the bus, when we're going to a Star Trek film site, I'm like, okay, so what is everybody's favorite Star Trek and why? And it's a great question, because Star Trek fans are super passionate about Star Trek, but they also definitely have their favorites.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and they'll tell you, right? They'll go back and forth. And so I can get that little bit of engagement with people that are like, normally don't want to talk about this kind of thing. But then all of a sudden they're talking about Star Trek jokes and everybody's laughing. And then I did the same thing with my Samurai tour. Why are you here? Basically at our welcome dinner. And I do this basically every tour in different forms, of course. Why are you here? Like, and then everybody knows why you're there. And then everybody is like, oh my God, they're here for the exact same reason I am. So it's great, because it creates that community. Because, and I don't create communities. I just enable them, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
you're
the community's already
fostering
there, right?
Yeah, you're creating an environment where those communities can form and come together. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you kind of mentioned COVID, and I, we all know what that did to travel in general, and to, conventions and big exhibition halls. But coming out of the worst of it, granted, there's still flare-ups and issues going on, but have you seen kind of a renewed interest, as Gen Con is right around the corner, and some of these other shows coming up, are people now coming out, looking for opportunities again?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that COVID made us all, except for some people, but I think for most people, I think it made people more appreciative of what they have. And I think that across political lines, that is kind of a pretty easy thing to say, because it stopped everything. It doesn't matter what you think about it. It absolutely stopped everything. It stopped mine. But now there is an appreciation about it, and appreciation not only about travel, but appreciation about your community and about those people around you. When Adepticon this year, Troy, and I don't know if you experienced this too, but the vibe was so positive. I didn't hear anyone bitching, like not one bitch, not one complaint, not one, like not even about, they had so much trouble with their dice. They couldn't get their dice going, right? And normally if people didn't get their dice, it'd be like, holy man, the end of the world's coming, right? Like COVID, I don't know, but I didn't get my dice. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And so, but there was nothing like that. No, I didn't hear anybody complain about they didn't get their dice. And that was pretty spectacular. That sounds, I don't know, asinine a little bit, but I think it shows the level of how much people appreciated being there.
Yeah, I think when I was that first day, that Wednesday, and I don't know if I tweeted it or on our Discord, but I'm standing in the mile-long line, and that was my thing, is like, I'm in this line that I can't even see either end of it, but I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. And it didn't matter.
Yeah. And people were really positive about it, about they were positive about the fact that we were just coming out of it, and they were happy to have that little bit of freedom. But I think in general, they were just basically positive about everything.
It felt like a reunion. I was there for like a night and a day this year. I didn't come for the whole weekend, but and maybe it was through my shorter term weekend. But like seeing people that had been 2-3 years, in some cases 3 years, from that community, and in the different, you walk into the Age of Sigmar tournament and see 15 people you haven't seen in 2 years, and have 15 conversations to catch up on how you're doing and how's family and work and everything. It just had that vibe that rolled through the whole time I was there, of reconnecting and seeing everyone. And I think that helped, the general mood of Adepticon this year just felt happy. Not that it's not always, Troy calls it the 4 best days in gaming, or 4 best days of the year. So, but I mean, for everyone, like, it was just, there was a buzz, and
there was. Yeah, there definitely was. I think that people were, and when people about catching up with everybody, I don't think anybody was like, oh, I have to tell this story over again. It was like, no, I don't care. I'll tell this story as many times as possible, because I'm just with people again. It was awesome. So yeah. I think people, there's a little bit of trepidation still. I mean, our world is a real strange world right now. So there's a little bit of trepidation for sure. Japan, for instance, has only just opened up their borders in a lot of ways, and even their borders are still a little bit solid. I'm not sure if you can travel individually yet in Japan. You can travel as groups in Japan, but I'm not sure if you can travel individually in Japan. You'd have to double check that. I'm not sure if that's true, but it was for the longest time after they opened it, and they just opened it, I think May was when they opened up the borders. So there's a lot of trepidation still. There's a lot of hesitancy, but that's completely understandable. I get it.
Yeah, and different people are choosing to engage and kind of, do things kind of at different speeds, and I think that's important, that people are accepting of that, but I think next, Troy, do we want to talk a little bit about Adepticon 2023 and what's coming for the collaboration, Troy, that you've networked with Teras?
Sure. I mean, I think I've told a little bit of this story in different places, but without Teras here, so we can he can tell his side of it, or however it came. yeah, I mean, as Teras mentioned, they always do a welcome dinner, and I would say maybe I'll backtrack and say, Teras and I met playing Combat Patrol in 2013. I found an old picture once to kind of date when did we actually do this? And it was one of those where we met over playing in Combat Patrol, and just kind of kept in touch on and off over the years. And your tour has always had guys that have, because the Space Hulk ticket is so hard to get,
Right?
And the fact that you guys have always had a group that has come and played in it, and then I know over the years you've played in it a couple times and you got to do it, and so we got to know each other. And this year was another year where you actually got to play and participate. And after we were all done, you kind of hung around a little bit, and we were just like, how do we do something? And that was I think that your wheels were turning. You're like, let's try and figure out how we can do something.
Absolutely.
And then we kind of let it simmer a little bit, and then we jumped on with my brother John, and we kind of brainstormed some ideas around. And we're going to be excited to kind of do a mini version of the Space Hulk for the welcome dinner in 2023, and I think it'll be a blast. And when I was on 40K radio, I was saying I feel like I'm already behind though. I already need to. I'm always feel like I'm behind. As soon as Adepticon's over, I can start on the next year. But yeah, I'm again excited for that. And I know, Teras, you can talk about. I think you're going to probably have. You think you're going to have your biggest tour ever, possibly for Adepticon next year, right?
Yeah, it's certainly headed that way. I think that first of all, I'm glad that you think that you're behind, because that means for sure you won't be behind. Perfect motivation. Excellent. No, I'm just joking. I know that you always put on a great show. I've always enjoyed our company together, like you say, has been in spurts. But I've always enjoyed hanging out with you. I think we really clicked when we played Combat Patrol back that was at the old hotel, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was at the Lombard or wherever it was.
Yeah, Lombard. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think we hit off there, and then I remember coming in. I think I didn't even know that you would put it on, and I'm like, I'm going to do this, and I'm like, wait, you're running this? Oh, perfect! It was awesome. So I was really excited about that back then. And then I wanted to do it again. What I really try to do is go to an event, tell my crew which event that I'm going to go to, and then say, come on and let's join this. That's the first time I did that, was last year. I was like, I'm going to just do one event, tell everybody, whoever wants to join. So basically, I think the table was full of my guys, right?
Yeah. You guys had brought out one whole section, I think.
One whole section. That's awesome. Perfect. Moo-ha-ha. Anyway, so and then while I was playing, I'm like, this is just so much fun. I mean, you guys have such great terrain. You always have, again, that whole leadership and adventuring. You have the ability to move people in certain directions, but also make them have the choices. So I think your role-playing expertise definitely is translated into Space Hulk. And you can just see it there. And I'm like, this is someone I like. I want to work with this person. So yeah, it was definitely a spur of the moment to, hey, can we do this? Is this even a thing?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm glad it worked out. I'm really excited. And as a matter of fact, when I released it, I always give my veterans, so the people that bought the tour last year, I always give them first dibs of buying it this year. And they were like, oh, it is such a revolution. It's such a, you definitely hit that one. They were so excited about you guys coming and doing Space Hulk with them. So yeah, everyone's super stoked. So really excited about that.
Yeah, we too. I am too. It's going to be a blast. So
yeah, for sure. We'll eat and drink and kill Tyranids. So that's how can it be? How can it be bad night?
Yeah, it doesn't get better than that.
That's absolutely.
As long as many gene stealers are slain.
That's right. That's right. More for the 4-armed god to go. 6-armed, 4-armed god. Well, 6.
Six. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, we'll go.
Yeah. So it's. I think it'll be a good time. And I'm really excited about it too.
And is that tour sold out yet, or are you still?
No, it's still working. We're still early, so
Okay.
we're close to it. We're I don't even know what the numbers are, but it's getting there.
There.
So there's still spots, basically, is what I'm saying. So if you're listening and you want to come aboard, the other things that we have on that tour are, as Troy mentioned, we have pre-public registration. So if you want to get in and you're coming from England or whatever, I guess Nashville, and want to make sure that you get all your events, we get in there before anybody else. We always have hotel space right at the hotel, so you don't have to worry about hotel space. As a matter of fact, I have my space already, and Adepticon hasn't even released theirs. We have each night we do something, as I was mentioned before, and we have kind of guest celebrities also through the night, so you can visit with them also. So there's lots there with that tour, and it's always with awesome people and people that are just itching to roll some dice.
So how far out from an event usually will you open up like the tour, and then what's the timeline for people that wanted to sign up and attend one of your tours?
Sure. I try to open up things a year in advance. Sometimes it's a little bit later. For instance, I just opened up my UK tour, and that's going to be for June and July of next year. I also just opened my Star Trek tour, which is going to be just before that. So I'm literally I think I'm going to be in LA and then fly direct to London, actually.
Oh, wow.
So it's definitely sometimes you have to do that. But I mean, the longest I've ever been on the road was 42 days, which is the appropriate geek number. So
answered everything.
But yeah, that was a stint. I was pretty tired after that. But
so what are your frequent flyer miles like?
Yeah, absolutely. And hotel
points and
points too. Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Teras actually has enough miles in hotel he could do in 80 days around the world.
That's right. I keep on spending them though. That's the problem. I got to collect them more. That's a good idea.
So let's talk a little bit more about the miniatures one in the UK summer of 2023. What do you have lined up for that tour?
Sure. We've got a couple days in London. So we the first day that we're there, the arrival day and the welcome dinner, that's when everybody flies in. So that doesn't really count. If you get there early, you can of course go where I'll suggest a whole bunch of places for you to go, but you do it on your own, because I'd be at the hotel waiting for everybody. But the next day we go to the Imperial War Museum, and then go out for fish and chips when we're done that, and then let everybody do whatever they want. So we want to make sure that everybody has the ability to kind of go to the museums or to the pubs that they want to do that first day. Plus, people might want to have a little nap trying to catch up. So that first day is kind of really super relaxed, but we do go to the Imperial War Museum, which is, I think, for us, geek-wise, and especially because we're all miniature war gamers, that's probably the best one to go to. Then the next day we head out to the Bobbington Tank Museum for Tank Fest, exclamation mark. There's always an exclamation mark. Where you not only do you get to see the tanks, but they actually drive them around and do a whole bunch of cool stuff with them outdoors. You don't get to go into them, but you do get to see them as they're driving past, and tanks from all ages too. It's not just like modern tanks, it's like tanks before they were even called tanks type of thing. So that's pretty cool. And then we go to Oxford. We go to a few museums there, and then we go to Nottingham proper. So while we're in Nottingham, we go to Warlord, Mantic. We talk to the Perrys. We go to Warhammer World 2 days, and we also go to War Games Foundry. And the Perrys and John Stollert, again, been really great. They have invited us to their house. So this is what I'm saying, is that you could do this by yourself if you want, but you'd never be able to do this part.
Yeah.
So you get to go to see what the Perrys play on and what John Stoller plays on. So you get to hang out there, have a couple of beers with them. Maybe they'll almost for sure join us at the trip to Jerusalem for a couple of pints. And yeah, so you get to have those type of experiences that you just won't do. That tour is really interesting. I've had a lot of success with that tour and a lot of slowness with that tour. It's interesting. It really does this kind of wave motion in popularity. And so it really comes down to like this one, I think is going to be like a kind of a once in a lifetime thing, because the distance between a tour to the UK going and not going is a long duration actually. So if you want to go on this tour, then I suggest grabbing it because I don't know when it's going to run again. Not like Adepticon where it runs every year. So yeah, we get to do a whole bunch of cool stuff like that. When we're at Warhammer World, of course, we go through the whole Citadel Museum, which if you've ever been is spectacular. Their displays are second to none war game-ish. They're mind-blowing is what they are. So there's that. And we also go to, everything is taken care of. So almost every meal, all the transportation, all the hotels, you don't have to worry about anything. You just show up and I take care of you with a little bit of free time all the way through.
Excellent.
And you game too, by the way. You bring miniatures because, and I always suggest like combat patrol, but last time we went, like a guy brought his full orc army and played with his full orc army at Warhammer World. So whatever you want to do, man. So yeah, and he had a big case, like wow.
Yeah. These travel cases are getting better and better with magnetization and racks and ways to, yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So any other 2023 trips, or even end of 22 that I don't know what's on the calendar this year that you want to mention, or where you still may have openings for anything. Go right ahead.
Sure. I'm pricing my Star Trek tour one right now, and basically that's a film site tour, but we've thrown into a little bit of coolness with that one. So we go to the Star Trek flights film sites in LA and San Francisco. San Francisco is mostly Star Trek 4. And what we do is each day, the goal is to have a new Star Trek celebrity with us. So it'll be like a small con in itself, elite con in itself. So it's a good example. Oh, okay. So the first night, Tim Russ joins us. So this is the welcome dinner. We go to Lucy's restaurant right across from Paramount Studios, where Roddenberry used to go a lot when he was filming. And from there, we go up to Griffith's Observatory. Tim Russ joins us up there. He's an amateur astronomer, so he's bringing all his gear. So we look at the stars with Tim Russ, who's Tuvok in Voyager. And so he hangs out with us and we talk about the stars and talk about, some of his experiences. Of course, Voyager filmed up there at one point too. So, and we're going to have experiences like that all the way through the Star Trek day. So we go to a certain film site and there's going to be someone with us. So that one's really super special. That's kind of a new for us, the way we've kind of built it. And I think it'll be really interesting. That one's just being priced. So that one's going to be there. God, I gotta make sure that I'm deliberating about whether or not going to our Frostgrave tour in Estonia. As you may or may not know, there seems to be some problems in that Eastern Europe right now.
Yeah.
And but I think those people really need our help in a lot of ways. Like certainly Ukraine needs our help, but all those other people, those Baltic states really need our help. So, and apparently tourism is really booming right now there. So because of that, I think. So I think I might open that one up and see if there's any takers. And I realized that travel trepidation is probably going up. There's a lot of people going, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to do that. But I think I'm going to open that one up and see if it actually goes. Estonia, by the way, if you ever have a chance to go, is an amazing place. Like it's spectacular. The food is spectacular. The people are spectacular. The amount of history they have there is unbelievable. And it was the center of the spice trade. The road from the Orient to Europe. That's where it all took place. It's just an amazing place. So and having Joe of Frostgrave fame with us and playing Frostgrave every day. And eating and drinking. And I don't know if you know, but Talon is basically why Frostgrave and Talon. First of all, maybe that would be explained. So Frostgrave, as many of you know, is a bunch of wizards. It's closest to Dungeons and Dragons as you get with a miniature war game. And basically, you go into a frozen city and steal stuff and loot the city and then leave. That's the fluff of the game. The game's fluff. The game was designed, and Joe didn't know how to create the fluff or do with the fluff, and he wanted a holiday with his wife. And so this is the story anyway. And they were living in England, and they went to Estonia during the winter. And most people don't go to Estonia in the winters, but he made it to the winter, and he's like, oh my God, they've got this medieval town right in the center of Talon. So it feels like you're back in time, and it's a beautiful place, beautiful old buildings and everything. And he's like, oh, I'll do it. I'll do Frostgrave will be set in a frozen city with wizards. So that's why we go to for Frostgrave. But so we play every day when we're there, and it was spectacular. Again, the amount of camaraderie was great. Anyway, so that's
Awesome.
that's another one to go. And then we have Adepticon and you know what? Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. We have Adepticon and my classic samurai tour. That's the Genpei War in Japan. So we go to battlefield, following the battlefields of the Genpei War, the Tale of Heke, if anybody's familiar with that. And it's a spectacular tour designed mostly by Dr. Stephen Turnbull, because and it's actually how if you read about Japan, you probably have read one of his books, but it's basically his first trip to Japan, and we're following his route down the coastline. So that's a good one too. And you get to dress up as a samurai and be in a samurai parade. So, I mean, how cool is that?
Very cool.
Yeah. So, and that's really about it. Wasteland Weekend is actually also one that I have booked right now. It's pretty slow, so again, trepidation on that one. I think that one is. Have you ever heard of Wasteland Weekend?
No.
No. Wasteland Weekend is a Mad Max themed festival.
Excellent.
In the Mojave Desert in California.
Nice.
And it is spectacular. If you ever get a chance, you should go. It's you have to dress up. Now, post-apocalyptic is pretty easy. Rip your shirt, get dirty.
Yeah.
They actually made me roll. I had a shower one day, and then they made me roll in the dirt because I was so you have to dress up. So when you're walking through it, it is like, and everybody has these crazy costumes, and it looks exactly like the costumes you see in a Mad Max or a Book of Eli or any of those type of post-apocalyptic movies. It looks exactly like that. And as a matter of fact, it has this strange dysphoria when you're walking. You're like, am I there? Like, this is crazy. And then you see a tarp blow up, and there's someone's Toyota parked under the tarp or something. But it definitely has this great vibe. So check that
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
And if you have a chance, it's a really cool festival.
Yeah, I was just on the website, taking a look too at the Rome one a few years
Oh,
out, but the Spartacus and the Gladiators. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a couple of those. We also have Little Bighorn, Spartacus, and the two Japan ones. Dr. Turnbull used to come with us, but now we have Daniele Boelli from History on Fire podcast. I don't know if you guys listen to that. Awesome hot podcast. He's a great historian. His podcast, I think, is second to none. Definitely check out his podcast about Crazy Horse and the Black Hills. Just amazing stuff he puts out. Anyway, he's coming with us, and so and he loves, of course, he's right into he's Italian American now, and so he'll be with us in Italy, and then he goes to the Black Hills. He tries to go to the Black Hills once a year, so he'll be there and bringing us to all those cool sites for Little Bighorn and all the Indian Wars.
Excellent. Now, I have one question on the tours, just before we kind of move into the Pepper Terrace with random questions segment.
Oh, I thought we were already doing that.
This is us trying to stay, on a path. We haven't yet started veering off too far. So I'd imagine some of the gaming ones, obviously you get, a lot of adults and perhaps individuals, looking for a group to tour with, but some of these other, like the historical sites or like other ones, you get a fair bit of like families that will attend, or at least at a minimum couples, perhaps come without the kids, kind of that family friendly environment.
We do. I get that question every once in a while. My answer is always the same. Absolutely, bring your kids, but understand that people are boisterous, and also we go to pubs a lot. So if you're okay with people drinking and swearing, then or you're going to avoid it with your kids, then you're welcome to come. And I've had families on almost all my tours. As a matter of fact, my first tour at the San Diego Comic-Con, I had a family join us. So families. There's always, sometimes there's dad and son. That happens a lot also. But I definitely have had families on my tours for sure, and couples.
Excellent. All right, should we dive into some related adjacent Geek Nation tours adjacent questions?
Yeah, well, yeah,
right.
and some there's some trip questions and some game questions. Maybe can I go off script right away?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So
Troy.
Teras, we talked a little bit before recording, but you have to tell me about the space you're in. Everybody, we're looking behind you at your incredible studio and all the different stuff you put my basement to shame with that.
I'm very, very lucky. My wife has indulged me. We built this house when we came from Vancouver, and this actually used to be our bedroom, this area right here. And then I said, well, I'm moving in and I need an office space. And she begrudgingly said, okay, you can have this space. And the office space turned into this. Hang on a second. Well, if that's better or worse.
A little better.
So this is, let me see if I can point it out here. Can I view myself? How do I view myself? Okay. Which table is what? Okay, so these two tables currently have my Ghost Archipelago stuff right there. So I'm a huge Ghost Archipelago stuff fan. I love that's not true. I love everything that Joe puts out and Osprey put out. But Ghost Archipelago, I don't know if you know the game, but basically it's a Sinbad game. I mean the old Sinbad movies you probably remember as a kid, right? And so that's what the game is. So Cyclopses and dinosaurs and Land of the Lost and Clash of the Titans. That's what it is. And it's totally my favorite interest right now, because I get to revisit all the miniatures that I painted in the past. So of course I told you that I painted Dungeons and Dragons miniatures in the past, right? So now I get to paint a new Cyclops or a new T-Rex or whatever. So I'm totally immersed, and I unfortunately have an addiction to creating those universes. So all those games are heavily reliant, skirmish games are heavily reliant on terrain. So I'm a huge terrain guy. So right there is all my Frostgrave stuff underneath that table there. And I don't know if you can see. Okay, so I'll send pictures maybe.
Yeah.
But that whole thing is what I did over COVID. That has a waterfall. I'm doing a solo game, so I'm going to try to make it so
Oh, look at that.
Awesome.
Oh wow.
Oh,
there's my waterfall.
wow.
Lost
That is
civilization.
Wow.
Yeah, so
All right.
I'm a lunatic.
We've got to up our terrain game.
Yep.
Guys,
I think we just
from our Frostgrave at our weekender last year, we got to up our terrain game.
Okay. So I'm a little bit of a fanatic when it comes to terrain. But my fanaticism doesn't just limit it to itself. So right there, these two shelves are my Tyranids. These two shelves, the top shelf is my Necromunda Inquisitional campaign that we're doing right now. Then all my Ghost Archipelago miniatures. This shelf is my Eldar, and then all my Frostgrave miniatures. And these probably 3 shelves here are all my Space Marines, my Elementals.
That's awesome.
And then books. So yeah, I'm very blessed. My wife not only indulges me in, but allows me to have this amazing space. So it's all on her. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. Yeah, if you don't mind, take some pictures, send them over. That'll be cool.
Sure, I'll do so. Yeah, I've been indulging in solo gaming with that table, and it's really exactly like being in the movie, in one of those old timey Harryhausen stop animation monsters. So yeah,
have you tried the Rangers of
Shadowdeep?
Yeah, Shadowdeep.
Yeah, I haven't, but it also, I mean, it's definitely in the future, because it also rings to my nostalgic side, because that's how I really got into Frostgrave, is because it just felt so nostalgic. Felt like Dungeons and Dragons all over again in a lot of ways. This one does it, but basically because I create the universe, I also want to do the whole bestiary and my projects, since I kind of slowed down with GW products, my projects are like 2 to 3 years. So I'll dedicate myself to like Ghost Archipelago for 3 years, and then I'll probably go on to a different one, which may well be Rangers of Shadowdeep. It is great. I've read the rules, and it's so compelling.
Yeah.
But I've like, no, I will put you down because I have this one.
You have self-control. That's I jump from thing to thing to thing, and my painting desk has 6 projects at once.
I don't know if I would say self-control, because I've got all the miniatures for the whole bestiary. So I don't know. I'm sorry, but I don't know if that I may have direction, but I don't have self-control.
So Teras, I have to ask, all of these tours and all of these groups, do you ever go on trips by yourself? Is there ever a vacation for Teras, and where is your like preferred destination for a vacation?
You know, that's a great question. So yes, I'll answer it two ways. First, I'll answer the practical way. So I go often on scouting tours, which isn't a holiday, because I think you're talking about a holiday. So, but
Yeah.
I go on scouting tours often, and the Wasteland Weekend, for instance, also they just started this year with the same space in the Mojave Desert called the festival's called Neotropolis, and it's a cyberpunk based.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's spectacular. You walk in, and again, everyone's costumed. My costume was a mirror shades and a suit, and and everybody else was like I was the freak because I was walking through. Everybody's like have mohawks and implants and stuff, and I was like the company man. Everybody growls at me and everything. It was great. And I brought my daughter on that one. So that was a scout and a holiday, but not exactly what you're asking, I think. So before we used to go to Mexico quite a bit before COVID, and the last 3 years or so, I was traveling so much that my holiday was staying here. So really it got to the point where, and I have an inkling I want to go to Mexico again, but it got to the point where I was, you know what, my holiday is actually just staying here, not going anywhere. The Canadian Rockies, I see the Rockies from my house. So I'm super blessed and privileged, period. And I walk outside, and it saved me during COVID because there was a lot of people during COVID that were stuck in their apartments, and I walk outside into the woods. So my holiday is here, and I don't think that'll ever go away, but it certainly was the fact for the 3 years prior to COVID. Yeah. Does that answer the question? I think.
Yeah.
No, it's
absolutely. Good. I'll hand it off to Troy or Josh for the next question.
I'm going to do the easy one. I'm going to go, what's your favorite paint color?
Paint color. Wow, that's changed. That has changed since I started painting Ghost Archipelago stuff. I love turquoise. Turquoise is really good, and almost any wash. Hang on a second. So I didn't really do. I mean, I use washes all the time, but this is my T-Rex. Can you see that?
Yep.
So this is my T-Rex, and it's all done with washes.
Nice.
So and a little bit of highlighting in the paint and the nose, but washes have really become my friend with Ghost Archipelago because they really bring out scales and stuff. But I think my favorite paint, I would have to say, is now turquoise.
Turquoise. That's great.
Yeah. Good question. That's interesting.
So when I sign up for a Geek Nation tour, what are some tips and tricks for me to have a successful time?
Be prepared to talk a lot and to visit with people. Really go out of your way, no matter how what's the best way? No matter how much you might want to be reserved, go out there and talk to people. And as a matter of fact, talk to a whole bunch of different people, because not only will almost everyone have the same interest as you do, but you'll also find little bits of interest that are similar to you completely. Like when I talk now, because I play Frostgrave-esque games again, or now I talk about Frostgrave as well as my experience with 40K. So always relate everything, and I'll take care of you at almost any time. Always ask questions to me if you're wondering what to do, how to do it, that kind of thing. I'm happy to answer any questions. Bring extra socks and deodorant. and a towel, because the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy says you always do.
Excellent. All right. So Gen Con is right around the corner. Right before we started recording, we were talking about how we're at the, roughly 15-day mark right now before departure and arrival. What's the best place for dinner in Indy during Gen Con? Any recommendations kind of in the either downtown or near downtown area?
I go to the German place a lot. I forget what its name is called, but if you look for
is that
German
the
restaurant,
Rathskeller?
yeah,
Yes.
that's fun.
Yes.
That is super fun. Make sure you drink a lot of beer and maybe get up with the band a little bit too. It's a lot of fun. That's a good restaurant. I like that one a lot. The one right there's a Japanese restaurant where it's really close. They do good sushi. They're always super full though, but their sushi is really quite good. And the one really close to the Meridian, it's a steak place, but it's not. I think it's two names. That one's really good too. They have incredible. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. They have really great, their shrimp cocktail is really good. And their horseradish is killer also.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you been there too?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, delicious. That's a great one too. But I really like the German place because it always has that in a German type of way vibe. Those are good restaurants.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
those huge beers there too at that Rathskeller. Yeah.
That's right, which is hard to take. They also have a good horseradish also there, and their pretzels are really good.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And there's a whole bunch of burger places downtown that are almost all good too. But yeah, you guys know America. They do some good food.
Yeah, and
it's totally true.
Some of us eat far too much of it.
Yes, that's right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's like a cruise. You always gain 10 pounds.
Yeah, I need to exercise before Gen Con. Prepare for the
Gen Con's really interesting though. My Gen Con too. I'm not doing Gen Con this year. We moved it to next year because I had that whole trepidation thing.
Mm-hmm.
I asked on my crew, what do you want to do? But next year, I have a house really close to the convention. It's a 10-bedroom house. And I'm gonna do what I did with my Dungeons and Dragons tour. I'm the mom. So I get to have people come to the house like you're 14-year-old again and bring your friends and say, I'm gonna game all day. So I give you pop and chips, and then I cook dinner for you. So I love cooking for people. So
awesome.
I'll be cooking for people all the way through. So I'll be cooking like flash seared steaks and ribs, and I'll have chili and my mom's apple pie recipe. I'll bring it. So that's going to be the vibe. Like that whole, I want to just hang out with my friends. So you'll go to Gen Con and then you'll come back to the house and it'll be like going home, and I'm going to have it all laid out for you. So
that's
awesome. I'm excited about that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then I'll make sure that you gain 10 or 5 to 10 pounds.
We've started doing that there's a convention in Madison called Gamehole Con, and last year and then this year a group of us have gotten like an Airbnb that's just 10-minute drive away from the convention center. So we'll have a bunch of people over, we'll cook meals or order carry out, and do all of our gaming at the house versus staying at a hotel or something where you're kind of limited. So that house experience for a gaming convention has been a lot of fun. So that sounds really cool way to experience Gen Con.
Gamehole Con is a good con too. I was there a few years ago. Yeah, it's really good.
It's quickly become one of my just absolute favorites. Alex Kammer and the crew that he's got that put that on are fantastic people. It's always for a charitable cause.
Yep.
And it helps. It's only an hour away from us. So
yeah.
Oh really? That's how close. I didn't realize it was that close.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's a good show. It's a good show, and like you said, it's super well run, and everybody seems happy to be there too. Like really super into it, and I mean, role playing as much as you want. So
yeah.
I never had it. I didn't have the VIP ticket.
Yeah.
I just had the regular ticket, and I got everything that I really wanted
Yep.
out of the thing. So it wasn't super hard to get, the
Mhm.
games that you want to play on.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great RPG con, and Madison's a great time. I went to university there, so it's like returning to an old home is always fun too. So
they have some great restaurants there too.
absolutely.
yeah.
Like the downtown area, like it's a little bit, I don't know, it's across the river or something, or is it?
There's a couple lakes. We won't. Yeah,
Oh,
we won't
that's
go
what it
into the geography of Madison,
Yeah,
which is
Madison's
it's
kind
stuck
of
in between two lakes.
Yeah.
Right. And then on the other side, there's like, I mean, I think there's a lot of restaurants around there too,
Yep.
but on the
Mhm.
other side of the lakes,
Yep.
there's some spectacular restaurants too.
Yeah. So I'm going to interject one more just off topic question for you.
Yeah, I think
before
this
I
is a
let
good.
Troy
Yeah,
or Josh-
no, I think this is a good wrap.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're going to give them the one, I think this is a good
Yeah.
one. Maybe we can wrap it up with this one. This will be a good.
So who is your favorite Primarch, and why?
Oh, wow.
And why is it Sanguinius?
And why is it saying this? Because I have the hair.
Yeah.
That's simple. And I have Lamenters, as you knew. They're a cursed founding. First of all, how can I say this without swearing?
Oh, you can swear.
Okay. Fuck the word bearers, first of all. Okay. So there's my swear. That's my one swear for the thing. I almost swore a couple times through this whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, screw them. I do like Sanguinius, and as you know, like I said, the whole Lamenters thing. So I envision the Lamenters always crying because they're always revisiting the death of Sanguinius in their heads. So I do have actually it's funny that you should say that. I do have a vibe for the Sanguinius, but I do like the Ultramarines also. I do like the Ultramarines. I just 40K, there's a lack of real heroes in 40K somehow. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean that in a negative way. That's the way it's supposed to be, right? That's the way it's supposed to be in that universe, 100%. But I like heroic action, and and Sanguinius, of course, he sacrificed everything for that. But I do like the act of heroic action for a cause. And that's really why I like the Ultramarines, is because I think that if there's anyone heroic in that universe, it's them, because they actually believe in and making things better. And all the other chapters across the board are too self-absorbed for my liking, especially the chaos ones, and one in particular that I mentioned earlier. But I can't say the chapter's name without swearing or spitting. So I don't know. So,
Excellent. And I think
excellent.
you made
so Gulliman would be the answer. So.
Yeah, and you just made Troy's day with
that's it.
Yeah.
See, you said it's Teras and I have a connection, and that
That's
we
right,
don't
that's
even
right,
know about
exactly.
anything. So
that's right. Although I see Troy is wearing red and you're wearing blue, so
Yeah,
there's a little bit of a conflict
yeah,
there.
I have my
That's the trick. Mine is. Can you read that?
Go local sports.
One of my two favorite T-shirts. I was going to wear the other one where it has a baseball player hitting a home run, but it says touchdown on the.
Fantastic. Well, this has been an absolute blast, Teras. I think what we'd love is give you a chance. Where can people find you on the internet? Geek Nation Tours. Any contact info, Twitter, website. Share it for our listeners and anyone else that may wander by our corner of the internet.
Sure. You can find us, of course, at geeknationtours.com. I post a lot on our Facebook feed, so you can find it, Geek Nation Tours there. Also, that goes to Twitter. If you have any questions and you're like, I don't know about this. Oh, one thing I should mention is that my wife in particular said you have to have what we call alternate realities, and that we cater to the non-geek spouse also. So if you ever want to bring a partner or spouse or a kid or whatever, and they're like, you know what, I don't really want to do this. I want to rather just go to a baseball game, or I'd rather go shopping, or I'd rather go to a museum. I can help with that too. So, but you can get a hold of me at headgeek@geeknationtours.com. Again, headgeek@geeknationtours.com, and you can ask any question. You can even ask what your favorite Primark is, and I'll probably be doing it. But yeah, so you can answer any question you want, whether about going early or coming or staying later or any of that. I'm happy to answer.
Fantastic. Josh, Troy, any final questions for Teras before we release him back into
No,
the
just
Canadian Rockies?
thanks for joining us. This is awesome. It was great to just kind of sit and chat for, I don't know how long we chatted. Quite a while. We chatted for quite a while, which is great.
Well,
great.
I'm kind of known for my chatty Cathy.
No, it's good. And maybe as we get closer to Adepticon, maybe we'll have you back on, and maybe we won't talk about Geek Nation Tours. Maybe we'll just talk about gaming. That
would be awesome. Yeah, sure.
We can mention Geek Nation Tours.
Yeah, that's I'm all for that. I'm all for that. We could talk terrain building. Maybe.
Yep.
That would be.
We have to have our other. Hopefully we can get Bryce, our other co-host, who couldn't make it tonight, but
sure.
I think he'd definitely have some stuff. So yeah, sure. Just thanks, Teras. It's been awesome. Thank you for the time.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Glad we could have some laughs.
And we're back. We just got done chatting with Teras of Geek Nation Tours. Fantastic conversation. Had an absolute blast. Just, our guests, we tend to get storytellers on, and he did a fantastic job of following in the footsteps of some of the prolific storytellers that we've had previously, which was a lot of fun. But now we need to get down to kind of our show wrap up, talk a little bit about what's coming up. It is a return really to conventions, with precautions and masking and vaccinations and everything else as much as we can. But want to touch on what's coming up. And first, at the end of July, Saturday, July 30th, I think starting right around 10 a.m. Central, Mr. Mephisto on his Twitch will be having the third annual Rantcast, a marathon live stream for Take This mental health organization. We'll put the link out there. The Tiltify site for the fundraising aspect is up. Number of guests throughout the day. I myself will be on Saturday night at 8 o'clock, 8 to 10, with a few other members of our Empire game, kind of talking about role-playing and specifically, engaging with chat about Milwaukee by Night and some of our other, what we bring to the table, so to speak, for role-playing and mental health and other things. So certainly would encourage people to listen during that segment. The donations all go to the organization, and when you donate, you're entered into a chance to win just a incredible amount of prizes that have been donated. Everything donated. 3 fully painted armies. Just gift cards to all sorts of different places and stores and models. During our segment, we'll be giving away 2 of the hardcover Vampire books. and dice sets. And you can look at the Tiltify and see all the guests lined up. Different content creators, members of the community. So that's coming up, and it runs that Saturday through. I think it wraps up right around noon on Sundays through the night. So certainly check that out. Drop in for a few minutes, few hours, whatever you've got time for. Hobby along with, hang out in the Twitch chat, but that will be going on here at the end of July. Following that, we will be all leaving for Gen Con in Indianapolis, which runs August 4th through the 7th. Indy, we've talked about it before. We'll do a wrap up. We didn't do a prep episode where we've kind of graduated to now just talking about it when we get back.
We did give you some eating tips with Teras.
Yes,
that's their extent. We'll give you this.
Yes, but hopefully bump in some folks there and in some members of our Basement of Death gaming group in attendance, but get to see Matt and Elena and others from the state that we don't often get a chance to see. Then after I take a brief vacation to the North Woods of Wisconsin, when I get back, NashCon, the plan, unless Bryce and Tom cancel on me, which I'm starting to feel, I may be doing a solo Nashville trip, which will be interesting, but we'll see. I'm hoping they still follow through and come with, but NashCon, August 20th, 21st, got a round 1 game against Stu. That is at the can't think of the hotel, but it's kind of Music City, right in Nashville. It's a miniature gaming convention, but there's an Age of Sigmar tournament that'll be my main focus there. But should be a lot of fun if I can learn how to play, which I'm a little nervous about. But hopefully Troy and Brendan can teach me the game again. Dragonfall and Gamehole Con are the same weekend in October, the 22nd and 23rd for Dragonfall, and then the 21st through 23rd for Gamehole. I believe there's also Holy Havoc that weekend. I did see a note today from Steve that the venue, the Embassy Suites, where they've had it the last couple of years, up their prices, so won't be able to return there. So he's looking for another venue. Not that he won't find one, but he did say, if you're on the list, don't drop. He kind of foreshadowed if there's some problems lining up a venue, might shake up what the holy events are or where they're held, for that matter. So this that'll be really important, and that's that same weekend. Talk about overlap where you got to make some hard decisions.
And there still might be RockCon in Rockford that weekend too, but I didn't even bother to look. So it's
any other events or conventions that we may have missed that you guys can think of?
Not. We got a busy fall.
And then a winter.
Summer. We're not even want to say fall because we're only halfway through the summer here. So.
And a winter weekender.
Yep, we have to definitely plan a winter weekender.
I've got the big 40th birthday coming up. That would be nice to do a winter weekender for a birthday weekend. We'll see. But otherwise, that's going to kind of wrap us up for today. Any final thoughts, Josh, Troy?
I just want to thank Teras for his time. It was a great conversation. It was a blast. Again, I've known Teras for almost 10 years on and off, but that was probably the longest conversation I got to have with him and talk to that. And it was fun for him to show us his gaming room and everything else like that. So I hope people enjoyed that as much as we did to record it.
All right. So as usual, I'm going to plug where you can find us: iTunes, Spotify, probably Google Play. I don't know. Maybe we're even on Audible these days. I don't. Troy, you've put us out there into the world, so many places.
Find a podcast, and even if we're on YouTube, if you really want to see what we look like, and if you want to see Teras's game room, go over and fast forward to the right spot on YouTube.
Yeah, and on YouTube, like and subscribe to know when we post new content. We'll be having our Gen Con episode here coming up, probably as our next one, where we'll talk all about Gen Con. I don't know if I can convince Troy to find a way to get some video or on the floor recording, but that would be the cool way to see some highlights from Gen Con. Otherwise, Twitter, Playin and Slayin Show, basementofdeath.com. The show always gets posted there with incredible show notes. Emails, hit us all up. We need an Instagram too, by the way, guys, and a TikTok.
We do.
All right.
TikTok, you got the TikTok. That's all you. I don't even.
Yeah, I'll
know
do
if
a
that
plan.
works.
I'll do a Playin and Slayin TikTok account here.
As
That's
long
my
as you
goal
as long as
for.
you do a dance. That's
Yeah. I'll do a sword dance on TikTok.
there we go.
It'll be like me going. All right. See, that's what you miss if you're not on YouTube. You don't see the sword dance. All right. I'm done. You're done. Keep the dice rolling, the drinks on ice, and no matter what, keep playing and slaying.